What is going on, guys? DFree here. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about what I liked, and mainly what I liked, not anything that I too much in particular didn't like about the latest episode of Super. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing because we review these every week. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and jump into discussing episode number 96. So episode 96 featured a lot of cool things. Like, for example, whenever they get to the world of Void, we get some exposition as far as like, hey, you can't fly here, not because, technically because you're not allowed to, well, technically because you're not allowed to, but mainly because it's just not allowed, which kind of is me saying the same thing back and forth. Either way, I noticed it, so don't call me out on that. But yeah, the competitors cannot fly. I guess what I was trying to say is that you can't not fly there because of like the habitat, because we Beerus can fly because they're not competitors. That world is different, or the tournament setting is different there. We understand that the competitors also will feel their own worlds, their native planets' gravity. So that basically makes it to where there's not one neutral gravity that maybe this type of species or character is not accustomed to, which I suppose if they're all at a certain level of power, they probably should be, but there is nothing indicating that they're all in the same realm of power. In fact, there's stuff saying otherwise, which, because, there was a statement in there from TN like, hey, there's a faint presence from this one universe we thought had 8 characters. There's a faint presence. I sense more people. So, of course, they've got 10 fighters. They're just low, either suppressing it or they're very weak or whatever the case is. You don't have to be particularly strong in this. You could have gimmicks because, we saw Bergamo and those guys kind of get their butt kicks in the exhibition match, but it's different because they're going to be fighting in a brawl-based settings, and I'm sure that they're brothers. They have some, team combination tactical moves and things like that that'll come into play. That'll basically give them a tactical edge despite being at a power deficit versus a character like Goku at max power, for example. But we get that. We find out about the rules and stuff. They can't fly. We find out the gravity stuff. And one thing that was really cool about the episode was seeing those gods of destruction just kind of give us a nice little precursor to the actual Tournament of Power starting, because they thought they were showing off for Zeno, but they were basically testing out the arena, and they had to then afterwards, as Aishinkan played them, he made them go ahead and fix it themselves, which I thought was hilarious. He literally played them, but it was really cool to see what those guys can do. They didn't look otherworldly, overpowered in particular, but there was some statements in there about them going a little too out there, not holding back enough, and it is what it is. But it was nice to see that little 1 minute, 2 minute rendition of them fighting, because we'll probably never ever see that from them again. We may never even see the other gods of destruction that didn't participate in that fight ever in the series. So, you kind of got to take that type of stuff and kind of just, revel in it when you can. So another thing that I did like was the comedic moments earlier in the episode with Vegeta and Frieza, because Frieza is obviously, they have a lot of history there, right? Like, Frieza's been he kind of raised Vegeta, if you will. Vegeta was part of his empire from the time Vegeta was a kid, when the planets of the Saiyan was destroyed, and Planet Vegeta, So Frieza kind of took him under his wing at that point, up until the events of the Saiyan Saga, Namek Saga, that stuff, Frieza Saga. So that whole time period, of course, Vegeta was basically like his lackey. So there's that whole dynamic between them, and then all the events that once again took place in the Saiyan Saga. And what I'm trying to say is that leads up to and kind of really can make a lot of tension between them. And I do like the way that Super's putting a spin on it, because Vegeta's in this awkward place where he has to work with Frieza, despite the fact that he literally hates him to the bottom of his soul. He has to work with him. Goku doesn't really have that same type of animosity towards Frieza. He honestly never really did. The only thing Goku truly hated Frieza for was killing Krillin, and he got over that instantly. He was like, I'm not going to kill you. Here's my energy, yada, yada, yada. Do it what you will. And then Frieza decided to make a stupid move on Planet Namek after that. So Vegeta's in this awkward place where he kind of has to work with Frieza, because he knows that there's nobody else that could take that spot, because Boo basically screwed him by falling asleep. And of course we have Yamcha there. It's like, bro, you weren't going to get chosen. You know it. So it's funny because the way that they keep playing, Super keeps putting a spin on it, like I was trying to say, and they keep playing Yamcha, or excuse me, not Yamcha, Vegeta, where like in the previous episode he was like, oh, I can't believe I have to say good things about Frieza to my son. I gotta put the Frieza guy over as a good guy. He's turned a new leaf. And in this episode he's like, damn it, I gotta get in a circle and hold hands with Frieza. He's like, what the hell? And Frieza and Beerus is literally just spastic the whole episode. He is about to like literally pop a vein. He is so stressed at all of this, which obviously for good reason, right? Because your universe is about to be destroyed. Beerus along with the universe, because for whatever reason, of course, the Rokaushin and the Supreme Kai, they would be destroyed too, but Whis wouldn't be. The angels actually would be spared. So that's funny too. That was one of the choice dialogue lines that we got whenever we first found out about this, and they kind of said, hey, our universe will be destroyed. Whis was like, wait. Oh, no, Beerus was like, wait, you're going to get a free pass, and every one of us else will be erased if we lose. So it's been a while since that episode kind of aired, because they've been just really building up, and it's a good thing that next episode we're going to finally get to the actual tournament. Another thing I loved was Jiren. I really do like Jiren's introduction. I think that they handled it very well. In contrast to the way that they handled Hit's character, I don't know if it's because they don't have the same, like, leverage. Not leverage, that's not the right word. The same amount of build-up possible with the Jiren scenario, because it's not a 1v1, slow build-up, hits the last competitor. You know, like the previous tournament, the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament, the Champa arc. You know, they kind of just had Hit the whole time just there as a quiet guy, wasn't paying attention, and then he kind of looks a couple of times, and Jiren pops in, Goku goes over there, and he says hi to that whole universe, and of course Toppo shuts that down, and he tries to say hi to Jiren because he notices Jiren in the back, and before Goku could even blink, Jiren is behind him, and he's like, wait, when did you do that? So right then and there, we see this guy as a character that is able to move past Goku's senses of detection. Like, this is, of course, Goku's guard is probably down. The tournament hasn't started. The fighting hasn't started. So you kind of have to take it with a bit of grain of salt because, like I said, he's not ready for that, right? So either way, though, we see this guy who just moves so incredibly fast that Goku doesn't see it happen. He's like, get lost. He's just like, get out of here. What are you doing here, bro? Get lost. You know, like, if you're seeing Space Jam, this is like super callback 90s baby boy. Whenever Charles Barkley lost his powers, not his powers, his basketball talent, he tried to go hoop with the girls, and they were like, nah, you're not Charles Barkley. Get out of here. It's like, that's what that reminded me of. And while the Gods of Destruction are building the arena, the cinder blocks are flying everywhere, basically, is what I'm going to call them, the tiles or whatever. And Goku dodges them, of course, because Goku's sane. But Jiren, once again, was able to detect the movements. And so he didn't bother to move because he knew they weren't going to hit him. I'm like, man, this guy is something else. I really do like the handling of his character. And they've done a good job of kind of building up to him. They kind of foreshadowed Jiren's power whenever Goku fought Toppo in the Zen exhibition match. And I think there's going to be a really big payoff for the character. Another thing that was really cool was Frost and Frieza talking. Like, that's something that we've all wanted to see since we found out that Frieza would be the character that basically takes that last slot in the final roster. So they're just like, oh, there's a whole lot of like little chuckles and, you know, little just nods. You know, it's just funny seeing that. And I'm just like, wow, were you saying a cow had to do a lot of voice acting? If that is the voice actor, I get those names mixed up, so forgive me. Either way, the same voice actor had to do a lot of voice acting there. Now he knows what it feels like to be Mosako Nozawa and do the different voices for the different characters in the same scenes. Like, I mean, there was a time where she's doing Goten, Goku, and Gohan at the same time. God forbid she does Goku Black and, you know, all that at the same time. It's just ridiculous. She doesn't do Zamazu's voice, but Goku Black, too. It's like, damn, so much. But I did like the Frost and Frieza interactions. That was really cool, seeing them talk. And we'll have to kind of parking lot that because they are scheming. Of course, we saw in the previous episode that Frieza was scheming. Apparently, he's getting Frost in on it, too. They've had it seemed like, you know, they only exchanged a couple of words from what we saw, but it seemed like they probably talked for a little bit longer than that because, I mean, he had to, because Frieza's like, so do you want to join me, basically. He probably had to sit there and explain his thing, and of course, he's like, yeah, it seems like we're very common. I don't think he was just talking about physically. I think that they actually had a chance to talk. So that's something that we'll have to park a lot and come back to, see what that becomes, because I feel like that could be a big plot point later on in the arc, because we don't have an actual antagonist. I mean, earlier on in the arc, it seemed like they were kind of building Goku up to be that, but they've done a good job of trying to step away from that. So we don't know, or an antagonist if I said protagonist, but we'll see what happens. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget about anything. I hope I didn't forget about anything. No, I think that's pretty much it. We see Gohan leadership moments. That's about it. So if I forgot anything, forgive me, but have an awesome day, and thank you, as always, for the continued support, and I will catch you guys next week for the next episode review. Peace out, guys.